This graph is from the King County Tax Assessor's Office. You can see in 2024, the building paid out more than $480,000 in property tax, generating enough revenue to fund approximately 2 teachers and contribute to emergency medical services, the fire department, King County, and more. That tax base plummeted to just $75,000 this year, while activity at the building keeps sucking from city services.
In the last century, sea levels have risen by about 8 inches in Seattle. By the year 2100, some data suggests we could see up to 2 to 3 feet of sea level rise in Seattle.
Let's follow the money. About a year ago, state finances looked rosy. At that time, Governor Inslee approved an extra $2 billion to a nearly $70 billion operating budget. That was March 2024. Then just 8 months later, in November 2024, the Office of Financial Management sounded the alarm, saying the state was $10 to $12 billion in the hole over the next 4 years. But wait, a month later, in December 2024, that number jumped to $16 billion.
Her age alone was worthy of making the local headline, but it's her recollection of her long life in her own words that pulls the reader in, starting with her picture.
And she reminds you of a strong woman, She's got strong features.
This article is the only known record of Mary Jane sharing her personal story. She'd smile as she talked about her devotion to the Christian faith, but she also reflected on the deepest wounds of her past, being sold as a slave 3 times. The article says she recollects that her first master was Charles Burton, that owned her mother. Her family were divided on the auction block in those dark days of slavery. Where her father went, she is not able to tell.
Nimitz is named for the legendary World War II Admiral Chester Nimitz. It was commissioned in 1975 as the lead ship in her class.
In the unlikely event of a fire, there can be a temporary impact of localized air quality similar to residential or commercial fires. However, the GoldenEye project is designed to ensure safe disbursement levels at the fence line, posing no risk to the surrounding community or environment, which will be verified in the FSEC permitting process prior to project approval. The group FSEC you just heard in that statement stands for the Energy Facility Site Evaluation Council. FSEC was created by the state legislature in 1970 during high demand for nuclear power. FSEC has become what they call a one-stop shop for permitting a variety of energy facilities. Today, it's made of 6 people with a lot of power to greenlight controversial projects. Here's a look at the 6 members, including Chair Kurt Beckett, who was appointed by Governor Ferguson.
Fashion is so much more than clothes. It inspires, it affects the mood, and it builds community. This brand is Luxe. As we walk through the store, there is a clear celebration of femininity.
Hanging down to the road below. Now, with an emergency proclamation from Governor Bob Ferguson,
For those foreign students who are contacted, Vi urges them not to respond. He says instead, look up the real contact information for the agency and reach out to them. That office can help students verify the agent or department that reached out to them initially. Captured by Luis Cortez Romero, a local immigration attorney and partner at Novo Legal Group. His video posted to Facebook has been circulating throughout the community, shared more than 500 times. It shows the moments of those 17 workers handcuffed and escorted out of the warehouse of Eagle Beverage and Accessories Products in Kent. In a statement, they say ICE Homeland Security Investigations investigates worksite violations and the exploitation of workers. Worksite enforcement investigations focus on reducing illegal employment, holding employers accountable, and protecting employment opportunities for the country's lawful workforce.
It all started with this Amber Alert and the search for a silver sedan, which sparked community concern. Tacoma police shared this post on Saturday morning that they were investigating a kidnapping. But here's what got people talking. The 28-page motion filed also cites news organizations and online videos calling Kohberger's mannerisms signs of guilt, like his deadpan look and robot-like walk, posting that his facial expressions and body language prove he is a, quote, murderous incel. His atypical eye contact, including an intense gaze, has also been called sinister. But the defense says these are traits of his autism.
Cheryl's watched it go up in flames more than once, most recently in July. Records from Renton Police show officers responded to 500 Park Avenue 46 times in the last 3 years for suspicious people, juvenile problems, and to assist fire.
I do this work because of my niece, my nephews, his children who are continuing to grieve with no answer.
Says Studio 13 Live, and there's a little Maria and a little Carly. That is so cute.
Court documents say detectives used an online investigation tool to find offenders who share the violating images. They tracked suspect Doty possessing the child sex abuse images between January 2024 and July 2024. When confronting him during his arrest at his home, the documents say he told investigators he finds it exciting to know that he is doing something illegal. He talked about it as playing his crime game and crime roulette.
Hours after Tacoma police announced Delilah was found safe, her dad took to social media and said the man arrested did not kidnap his daughter, but rather sheltered her, and that he is not a bad person. Jada even helped bail him out of jail.
Enterprise Washington says the reason for the deficit is in part that state spending went up around 40% in just the last 4 years.
This fall, 10 state agencies came together to develop a new climate resilience strategy for Washington, which included how to address sea level rise.
Just how did the newspaper find out about the centenarian? Well, a reporter came to Sarah's home to talk to her about the community's kindness after losing her husband in the avalanche. It was there the reporter found Mary Jane sitting in bed, willing to share what she remembered in all her years.
Thursday's call comes after the 4 organizations sent a letter to Governor Bob Ferguson, along with Washington senators and representatives, asking them to review and revise the recent tax and budget proposals. More than 60 Washington executives signed their names on it, including the CEO and president of T-Mobile, Puget Sound Energy, and Nordstrom. Last week, the judge issued a written ruling that said in part not only has the defendant failed to show that autism spectrum disorder is equivalent to an intellectual disability for death penalty exemption purposes, he has not shown there is national consensus against subjecting individuals with ASD to capital punishment. He went on to write ASD may be a mitigating factor to be weighed against the aggravating factors in determining if the defendant should receive the death penalty, but is not a death penalty disqualifier.
Reached out to the Department of Ecology, who said in part, the remaining challenges we're aware of come from off-farm sales, such as at retail gas stations or card check stations. It's more difficult to track who is buying fuel and for what purpose at those locations, and so there may be difficulties in applying the exemptions.